All right, guys. So everybody can see my screen, all right? Yeah, hell yeah. So you guys ask as many questions as you guys want, take advantage of this. This is gonna be an intro to futures class. If you guys do you trade with funded account? Yeah, I am trading with a funded account. I'm gonna get into all that. But if you're completely new to completely like brand new to trading in general, I'm gonna try to make it very understandable for you guys. If you're completely brand new to futures, I'm gonna try to make it completely understandable for you guys. Some of you guys might already have some knowledge in futures, but for those that don't, I'm gonna make it very, very understandable for you guys, right? So let's get started. So first things first, right? What are futures? Futures is basically the promise to buy something in the future with a certain price determined right now. It's the buying and selling of an asset, typically a standardized commodity in the future. Futures contracts use leverage, something that amplifies how much you gain or lose from your investment. So I'm gonna break that down in simpler terms, right? I have a really good example right here. So read that first line again, right? Basically, the promise to buy something in the future with a certain price determined right now. So for example, let's say I'm an owner of a bagel store, right? And I sell bagels for $6. But in order for me to make the bagels, I have to get the flour, right? So I buy the flour for $4 and I make the bagels and sell them for $6. So I'm making a $2 profit on that investment, right? So on the flour though, the price can fluctuate on. So when you're trading futures, you see how in the description of the definition it says commodities. So what a commodity is basically it could be like gold, oil, literally be like sugar, cows, meat. Um, there's I have a whole nother slide of all the commodities, but for the most part, that's like what a commodity would be. And let's say for example, let's say flour, right? The price of flour can change. The price of flour can change. So let's say for example, I lock in that price. I'm the guy who sells the flour, right? So I'm the guy that buys the flour. So I have to buy it off of someone. And I want to lock in that price for $4, just in case the price of flour were to rise to $5. I'm already in agreement with somebody to lock in that price at $4 for the whole year, for however long the contract is, right? And that would basically be our futures contract. That way I don't have to worry about flour prices increasing. I already locked in a year's worth at $4 and I could just focus on making bagels, making that same $2 profit, right? The only way I would lose in this situation was if flour were to drop to $3 because I already locked in that price at $4 with that guy. But now, and if the price of flour drops to $3, I'm overpaying a dollar for the flour, basically I'm overpaying a dollar. But the way I would win in this situation is if flour were to rise by a dollar, let's say flour is now worth $5, then I'm winning because I already locked in a year's worth of flour with this guy for $4. So I'm locking in a price at the future, but today. So read that first line again, right? The promise to buy something in the future with a certain price determined right now. Here I have another example. So let's say if you guys have any questions too, I'm about to be going back and forth with this. But let's say you're a farmer, right? And you knew that your crop wasn't going to come out for another 6 months. But right now the cost of your crop might fluctuate and it could be volatile. Anything can happen within that time where the price can change. Maybe you want to know what you're going to charge in 6 months right now. So that's what futures was created for. It allows buyers and sellers to agree upon a future price of a commodity right now. So let's go over some of the commodities, right? If you guys have any questions on those first two slides, feel free to ask, right? So these are some common commodities. Energy, you got crude oil, gasoline, heating oil, natural gases. You got grains, oil seeds, corn, soybeans, livestock, meats, metals, copper, gold, softs, cocoa, coffee, cotton, orange juice, sugar, lumber, and a lot of others, right? So for the most part, me personally, I'm not really trading the commodities. I'm trading the assets, right? So the assets would be like the ES and the NASDAQ. And the reason why is because I started trading, before I even got into futures, I started trading stocks and options, right? I was an options stock trader. And for the most part, I got really good at trading the stock market, right? I got really good trading SPY. I got really good trading QQQ And, I really like finding the individual selection of stocks like Meta, Tesla. I got really good at trading individual tickers, right? But the asset, the future, there's a future for SPY and QQQ, right? So that would be ES and NQ. And I'll show you guys right now in the next couple slides how exactly the charts are. ES is exactly like SPY, NQ is exactly like QQQ. For the most part though, yeah, I stick to trading the assets and not so much the commodities. But how are futures and options different, right? So with futures, you have no PDT rule. So basically, you take as many trades as you want with very little capital. The PDT rule is the pattern day trade rule. So basically, you don't have to have $25,000 in your account to be able to trade futures. You can trade with as little as, depending on which one you're trading, you can trade with as little as $55 in your account or as little as $500 in your account. And I'll explain right now. I'll show you guys the margin and where you guys could go to check this. But even on options though, you could trade without having to worry about the PDT rule, but that's only if you're on a cash account. But yeah, no, that's the good thing about trading futures. You don't got to worry about the PDT rule. Futures don't have options week. Like I said, if you guys are completely new to trading, you guys are probably gonna be a little bit confused on what the options weeks are. But you don't have to. Futures don't have options week. So for those who are already familiar with that, you guys know that could be really, really good because we don't have to worry about theta burning our contracts, and therefore like our risk is managed a little bit better, right? Options experience higher volatility than futures, so a stock could go in your favor and you still lose money. In futures, that doesn't happen, right? So for example, like if you're trading options and let's say I buy a call at a certain level and the stock's going in my favor, right? But let's say it took a really long time for it to go in my favor. By that time, if you're trading contracts that you don't have much time on, the theta is already burning you. So by that point, you might not even be in full profit if because of the options Greeks, right? But on futures, if you let's say you would have bought it at that same level and it would have taken the same amount of time, then you would have still been in profit because you don't have the Greeks affecting you, right? So that's the really, really good part about it, right? So for the most part, futures trade nearly 24/6, Sunday through Friday. So they're open 23 hours a day, actually. Every single day except Saturday. And then they close on Friday, right? So, but for the most part, I stick to trading the opening session. So the same way I trade stocks, the stock market opens at 6:30 in the morning and it closes at 1 p.m. That's the same time I'm trading futures. So I'm trading futures from, 6:30 in the morning to, I usually catch the first hour or two. But I'm not trading the overnight session myself, but you could, it's open overnight and you could trade that session. But like how I said, I'm going to cover the margin rules that you guys are going to need to pay attention to if you are going to be trading the futures. But yeah, like I said, you have a defined risk reward. It's better on taxes, 60% long term and 40% short term. So far, does anyone have any questions or anything? Cool. But why trade futures? You'd be very liquid. You have more leverage compared to trading options. Not subject to implied volatility in the same way as options. That's pretty much the Greeks that I just covered right now. Futures contracts. So before I go into that though, just so I don't confuse you guys, let's cover the margin, right? So I'm gonna go to Tradeovate real quick so I could show you guys the margin requirements. And you guys could get a really good understanding of this. So 1 second, I'm loading this up real quick. Right, so where you guys are gonna wanna go, you guys are gonna go to Tradeovate. You guys are gonna want to go to Tradeovate, and you guys should be able to see if you guys scroll down. I had done this on my desktop, so right now I'm on my iPad because earlier it wasn't letting me share my screen. But when you guys go to Tradeovate, you guys gotta go to trading margins. So kind of like how I was saying, right? So if you guys go to trading and margins, these are literally all the futures you guys are able to trade. So if you guys have a notebook or anything, take notes on this, right? So like I said, I don't trade the commodities. There's a lot of commodities you guys can trade, but I stick to trading the assets, right? Which is going to be ES and NQ. Right now, I'm going to explain how each of them move and the ticker for it, right? So I'm going to type in right here, search in markets. But like I said, all these are literally, there's so many futures you guys could trade, right? And Tradeovate is going to be the broker. That is the broker that I use to trade futures personally because it links straight to TradingView. TradingView is the charting platform. So the fact that, you know, if you guys have seen me post on my story, like when you guys see the gains literally right on the screen where I'm trading, that's because I'm using Tradeovate. And that literally shows you your gains literally on the screen. You can set your limits, you can set your stops. I'm going to do a whole little tutorial right now, but I'm just showing you guys these are all the futures you guys could trade, right? You guys can see coffee, lumber, cotton, all that, right? But for the most part, we're sticking to ES. So let's type in ES, right? And that is the S&P 500, the future for the S&P 500. So see how it says right here, guys, margin. So in order for you to trade ES, you guys need to have at least $500 in your account. And that's if you want to trade throughout the day, right? So now let's say if you want, since futures are open 23 hours a day, let's say if you want to trade overnight, you have to have $12,000, 12.3K in your account if you want to trade that overnight session. So for the most part, I'm going to talk about the funded accounts right now, so you guys don't have to really worry about this. And especially if you're a new trader, I highly suggest I highly suggest practicing first before even getting into it, okay? But I'm going to explain it real quick. So ES, you see right here where it says value per point, and it says $50. So I'm going to explain what a point and a tick is, but this is going to be for ES. So I'll go back over here. A tick versus a point. So a tick is a 25-cent move and a point is a full dollar move. So I'm gonna go to TradingView now, right? I'm gonna go to TradingView now, and here we have ES. So this is what ES looks like on TradingView. And I'm gonna clear this up real quick. And right now I logged into a demo account so I could show you guys some really good examples. Sure, it is a demo account. It is not the demo account. It's just a demo account. Okay, cool. So what you guys are gonna want, so this is ES, right? You guys can see when I type in ES, it's usually the first one right here, ES1. And I'm gonna explain the contracts you guys choose right now as well. But for the most part, you guys are gonna click ES1. And this is gonna be the future, right, for ES. This is what it looks like. And every dollar, I'm gonna switch to a 5-minute time frame. You guys are gonna be able to see it's open right now, right? Literally, I could take a trade right now if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. I'll probably, since this is a practice one, I'll show you guys one. But notice how it's at 4,479 right now. Every quarter that it moves would be considered a tick. So there's 4 quarters in a dollar. Every dollar would be considered a point. So for every quarter that it moves on ES, you would make $12.50 for every quarter that it moves. For every dollar that it moves, you would make $50. So therefore, you already know your risk to reward, or you already know what you're willing to risk, and you already know what you're like going to make if you calculate your moves, right? For example, let's say, I want to take a put right here, and I'm trying to catch the move down to, let's say, 44.77. That's about a $2 move. I can make $100 on that $2 move with the stop loss above, let's say, this level, right? About, let's just say $1 away, right? So I can risk $50 to make $100, basically. That's how this moves, right? 25 cents would be $12.50. one full dollar move would be $50. And there's actually another one that's called MES. This is the micro, right? This is the micro futures. So ES is the mini. So those contracts that you're trading, they're a little bit more like, see how like if it makes $1 move, that's like you're already up $50 on just $1 move. So these could be a little bit aggressive for beginners. So if you're a complete beginner, you're gonna want to stick to trading MES, right? MES is the micro S&P 500. It's gonna look exactly the same, right? So if I go over here and type in MES, right, it's the exact same chart, literally the exact same thing. The only thing that's different is how much you're making on it. So if I go back over here, you guys are gonna be able to see that instead of making $50 for every dollar move, you're only making $5. So your risk reward is a lot better. And you remember how you had to have $500 in your account to trade ES? With the MES, you only got to have $50 in your account to trade MES. And every tick, every quarter that it moves, you make $1.25 instead of $12.50. So you make $5 per dollar move, and you make $1.25 per quarter move. You only gotta have $50 in your account. So, and if you're gonna trade this overnight, you gotta have 1,200 in your account. And I got all this from Tradeovate. So what this is right here, I actually do have to explain this because it is pretty important. The months, right? See where it says H, M, U, and Z? Those are gonna be the contracts that you guys are trading. Let's see if I have it written down here somewhere. Okay, I didn't write it down, but I'm gonna show you guys what it is anyways. So see where it says right here, right? It literally show you guys every date. So for every contract, every month, you would think it would be like January would be J, February would be F, but it's not. I don't know why it isn't. It makes it more confusing. But let's say, for example, right now we are in July, but we're trading quarterly contracts basically every 3 months, right? So HMUZ, those are the ones you guys are going to want to pay attention to. H is going to be March, right? So that's the first quarter, right? January, February, March. That's the third month of the first quarter. M is going to be June. That is the second quarter, which those just expired, right? So now we're headed to now we're going to be looking at the September contracts since that's the next quarter coming up, right? And then after that, we should be looking at the December contracts since that's going to be the fourth quarter. So right now we should be looking at the September contracts. You guys have any questions on that? I know it might be a little bit, it's a lot of information. My bad, I haven't been checking the chat. What app are you on? He's on TradingView. Connected trade. Yeah, so I'm on TradingView right now. No, it's a lot of information. So do you guys have any questions so far? Can you trade micros with a funded account? Yeah, you could trade micros with a funded account. I'm gonna get into the funded account stuff right now. But yeah, when you're trading the contract that you're looking at, that's where you're gonna want to pay attention to. So the first, right now we're gonna be looking at U contracts because the June contracts already expired, right? So that's the next quarter coming up. So when I go to TradingView, it's the same thing. For the most part, I'm always looking at the ES chart, but whenever you're gonna type in, like let's say if you are trading on the Tradeovate phone and you want to look at the contract, you would just type in ES and what was September contracts? U, right? Just to show you guys again. September contracts were U. So that's the next quarter, right? And then after September contracts expire, they'll roll over to December. So, right, we're gonna look at back to TradingView and I type in SE and you'll see it's the second one right here, ESU 2023, right? It's the same exact chart, but this is just like when you're gonna trade it, right? This is the contract that you're gonna trade, ESU September contract. And say, after September, they're gonna roll over to the December contracts. So every quarter, if you guys have any questions on that, feel free. But yeah, for the most part, the ES mini, or I mean, my bad, MES, yeah, the micro E mini. This is a lot better for beginners because it's a really good way to practice with the very small account. You make $5 per dollar move. and 125 per tick, right? For the most part, the other asset would be NQ, and this moves a lot more aggressive, right? So if you guys see me posting like $800 gains, $1,000 gains, it's because I'm trading the Nasdaq, and the Nasdaq moves. The Nasdaq moves. We'll go to the next slide, right? So we have it right here. The third one. So E-mini Nasdaq 100, right? It moves $20 per point and $5 per tick. So for every quarter, you'll make $5. And for every dollar, you'll make $20. But the NASDAQ moves a lot more aggressive than SPY or than ES, right? And then the next thing I'm gonna cover is how I trade it and how I kind of correlate with SPY and QQQ, because I literally correlate these to SPY and QQQ when I'm trading. I'm literally looking at SPY and QQQ, but just taking the trade on the future. So I'm gonna cover that right now as well. But for example, right, this is moving right now. Let's say I were to enter a trade right now, just for example, right? How would I enter this trade? So you guys see the blue button and the red button on the top left corner? This is on TradingView. So let's say I'm gonna buy a put right here, right? Or let's say this is just a practice, right? It's not an actual trade. But let's say I were to take a call right here, right? So I'll click the blue button, and you guys will see right here. I have market, limit, stop, limit. And notice how, it doesn't, with the spreads are tight. What I mean by that is right here where it says sell and buy. See how it's only a quarter difference? So getting through that market won't affect you too much. So because the spread is very tight. So let's say I were to buy right here, right? And the market's not as volatile right now. So let's say I were to buy right here. I'm already entered right here. That's where I got filled. That blue line shows exactly where I got filled. And see how if it moves $1, I'm already down $20, right? Every dollar move is $20. And since the Nasdaq moves so aggressively, like look at this candle right here. This one candle went from 15,300, let's say 360, just so to keep it even, from 360 to 350. That's a $10 move. So 10 times 20 is 200, right? Or 10 times 20 is 400, my bad, right? Let's say, right? 20 times 10. Yeah, 20 times 10. So if you catch a $10 move on this, if you catch a $10 move on one contract, you're making 200 bucks. Let's say you had two contracts and you make 400 bucks, right? So that's why it can get so volatile compared to the ES, right? The ES moves not as volatile, or not as, the movements aren't as crazy, right? You'll actually move like $1 to $8. The Nasdaq can move 30 to 70 points like in second, or not in seconds, but like in a couple of movements, right? So but there's also a mini, just like there's also a micro, just like how there was a micro for ES, and that micro would be MNQ. So if you guys are taking notes, you guys could write that down. MNQ would be the micro for the Nasdaq. So that way you can trade on a much smaller account. And if you go to Tradeovate, it'll show you right here as well. If I type in MNQ, the requirements, right? You only need $100 in your account instead of for every dollar that it goes in your direction, you make $2. For every quarter it goes in your direction, you make 50 cents. And if you want to trade it overnight, which honestly I personally don't trade overnight. I trade it off of the open, just the same way I trade stocks and options. But yeah, that's that. The brokers to trade futures, you can trade them on Thinkorswim, Interactive Brokers, Tastyworks, NinjaTrader, and Tradeovate. Like the one I was showing you guys right now is Tradeovate. I like that one the best because it connects to my TradingView. Like literally, you just go right here and connect your broker. You log into your account after you make it, and literally that's as simple as that to enter a trade. So how do I enter the trade? I literally, let's say I'm going to sell now, right? Let's say I'm going to go short. And it's I like it so much because let's say, for example, let's say I want to have a stop loss above this recent high, right? Above that 15,350. I'll set a stop loss right there, 15,350. I literally just have to click stop loss and it'll go, right? And let's say I want to have a take profit here at 15,350. 350. 15,350. 40, my bad. So this now is 340. Okay, there you go. Right, and let's say I'm gonna buy it right here. So that way, like, right, I just got filled. I have my stop loss. I have my take profit and set. Right, I don't even got to look at this. So, and this is the micro. So notice how it's not moving as aggressive, right? I'm only down. So for every dollar move that I'll make, right, and it shows you right down on the screen. So if it were to get down to this low, it'll automatically take profit for me. And if it gets up here, it'll automatically stop me out. Let me check if there's any questions real quick. Here you can lose the value more. Yeah, correct. So trading futures, you can lose, like, for example, if you're trading an options contract and you bought the contract for $200, then the most you could lose is $200. Now, if you're trading futures, do you find trading futures better, less stressful than options? Yes, I like trading. It is a lot less stressful than options because, let's say, for example, I'm trading SPX contract or a 0 days to expiration contract on options. And the thing I like the best is that I don't have to worry about theta, which is what kills a lot of options traders, the theta, the time decay. With this, like, my risk is already calculated before I'm entering a trade. Like, let me see if I can cover a trade that I took this morning, right? And I took it on the NASDAQ, and how smooth this trade was. It was literally right here, right? It shows them on this trade. This is the practice account that I'm just showing you guys. But this morning I took this trade right here, right? And I had a stop loss below this candle with the take profit of this next level. So therefore, I already knew what I was like. Regardless of how long this trade would have played out, I didn't have to worry about the theta, basically. Then I also took this pullback right here. This one right here, this low pullback right here. So I was able to, let's say, for example, I had my risk to reward set. Right? Stopping out below that level, taking profit at the recent highs. And I don't have to worry about theta or delta. And I know my calculated risk. So let's say if my stop loss is about, $5, let's say I have a $5 stop on the NASDAQ, that's $100 loss, right? So I'm risking $100. I'm risking basically, right, from here to here, from 365 to, let's just say, like 360, right? I'm risking about $5 here to catch a, all the way up to 98, right? So I'm risking about like $5-10 to catch a $20 to $30 move. My risk reward is amazing on that. A $20 move on the NASDAQ is pretty much like $200 to $400, right? If I catch a $40 move, that's almost like $800 compared to like me only putting up, me willing to risk 10 points, right? But if you guys want to get into the funded, how to get funded, right? These are the brokers, or these are the prop firms you would go with, right? Right now, I'm currently using Take Profit Trader and Top Step, and I'll cover a little bit of them right now of each one. Do you guys have any questions on anything else, though, like of the stuff that I already covered? I covered the difference between a tick and a point. The tickers that I trade, right? ES is correlated with SPY. The NASDAQ is correlated with QQQ. I'm gonna still cover how I trade them a little bit more in depth because I don't feel like I covered that very well. I showed you guys, like, since I started trading options first and I started trading, individual tickers like Tesla, Amazon, and my analysis is overall on the stock market, not so much on futures as much. Like when I chart at night and in the morning, I'm literally looking at SPY and QQQ, and I'm making my game plan off of SPY and QQQ the same way. Like if anyone in here is already trading, I'm sure you guys have caught a 50-cent move to a dollar move on SPY, or a 50-cent move or a dollar move on QQQ, right? I'm pretty sure if you guys have traded, if you guys are experienced a little bit in trading, I'm sure you guys have already caught a dollar move on SPY. So if you can catch a dollar move on SPY, I believe a dollar move on SPY correlates with an $8 move on ES. So I'm gonna say that again, right? If you catch a $1 move on SPY, I believe it's a $8 move on ES. And if you can catch a $1 move on SPY, your options contract will move nice off that $1 move. But just imagine instead of trading SPY, you take ES, and every dollar is $50. So if you catch an $8 move on ES, you make right 800. You make an $8 move on ES times $50. That's $400, right? So if you catch an $8 move on ES, which correlates to a $1 move on SPY. I don't know if that makes, if I'm going too fast or it sounds too advanced, just tell me to slow down or to re-explain it. So for example, if I'm here on SPY and SPY moved from 442 to 443, that's a $1 move, right? Your option contract will move nice. That'll probably be like, say if you're at a 5-day to expiration contract, that'll probably be like 40%, 40 to 50% potentially, right? A $1 move on SPY could be, really good on your option contract. But let's say you took that same dollar move on ES, which is that same move over here. That's a little bit over an $8 move, and you make 400, right? So that's why I said futures is just a little bit more leveraged than options. But let me get into if you guys don't have any more questions on that, I'm gonna get into the prop firms you guys could use, right? So for example, you guys could use the one that I'm using right now is TopStep, and they have a really good deal going on right now. So if you guys go to TopStep, it's gonna be the first one, right? Become a funded futures trader. So here it is, right? And you could get funded in as little as 4 days. And these are their plans, right? So I'm gonna cover a little bit of each one, right? So you pay $50 to it's basically like a combine. You have to prove to these people that you can trade. And if you can prove to them that you can trade, then they'll fund you like 50K, 200K. That way you don't trade with your own money, right? And let's say if you are a completely brand new trader, I think this is a great way to practice psychology in the market and back testing a strategy, because these prop firms, they do a really good job at keeping you accountable to your risk and keeping you accountable to trading like an actual business. You'll probably save a lot of money going through this instead of actually starting and trading off on your own. If you start trading with your own money and you're really like a new trader, then you're probably going to go through a lot more trial and error with your own money. And, this could save you actually a lot of money, honestly. And you still have that psychology. You're still learning, so what it is basically, right, you pay the $50 for the 50K account, let's say, and you have, right, I said you guys get funded in 4 days. So if within 4 days, you can hit their profit target here, which is $3,000. If you can make 3K on their combine account, it's like a combine. So you're basically like paper trading in a sense. You're paper trading and you're proving to them that with over time, you can basically, consistently be profitable. And once you can prove to them that you can consistently be profitable, they'll fund you the 50K, right? Or the 100K. Right now I'm on the 100K account. I had to make $6,000 and the maximum loss limit was $3. So you just can't $3,000. So I can't lose $3,000, right? As long as I don't lose $3,000 and within, and it doesn't matter how long it takes you. It doesn't mean you have to make $3,000 in 4 days, right? Because I said you guys could get funded in as little as 4 days. But it doesn't mean it could take you as long as you want. It could take you, if you have a strict, let's say you make a game plan, right? If you make $200 a day, or let's say you make $200 a day times 20 days, you're already at 4K. So it could take you 20 days to get funded, and just stick to that small $200 a day goal. And it'll build a discipline. You're gonna look for good setups. If you're a new trader, right? Then if you're already a little bit experienced, then it's a great way to, it takes off so much like pressure from trading with your own money. And, like, let's say if you guys trade with a small account, sometimes trading with a small account can limit you to catching a really good setup, or it can limit you to basically like, like when you're trading on a small account, like you only have so many for like, if you don't, trying to find like the right words for it. There's little to no room for error on a small account, right? So if you have $1,000 account and your first few trades go wrong, you're done for the day. You know, you wasted your buying power. At the 50K account, you know, if you're wrong on your first few trades, all right, that's fine. Now you could wait for a really good setup to present itself, and you have more capital to trade with, right? But you just got to prove to them that you can consistently make, you know, $200 a day, or like, just they help you with your risk management, you know, because all the rules that they have, they basically they it systemizes your trading for you, and you get to really see how it works, right? The other one is Take Profit Trader. This one's good as well. Where it's at, Take Profit Trader. Here it is. All right, We Fund Futures Traders. They're having a sell as well. Right, you can get funded in up to 10 days. And as soon as you get funded, you can start withdrawing immediately. So as soon as you get funded, you know, you make $1,000, you withdraw that the first day. It's immediate. Right, their prices are a little bit more expensive, but they do have 40% off. That's why I say Top Step right now would be the way to go, because the reason I don't like right now, the way to go would be Top Step, honestly, just because they're a little bit cheaper right now, and their program is, how do I say it? It's a little bit, you know, they have only a step one. So as soon as you hit your profit target, you're good to go, right? You get funded immediately. So those are the prop firms that I'm going with. These are the prop firms that I use to get funded. I know it's a lot of information. I'm trying to yeah, so many cards to play with. Did you get funded through Top Step or Trade08? I got funded through Take Profit Trader, and I'm currently doing the Top Step Combine right now. So I'm trying to get funded for another 150K right now. And that shit is game changing, honestly. So, you know, like right now I'm on day 2. I'm already up $1,000 in these past 2 days. And what happens if you lose a 3K on the funded account? So if you lose a 3K on the funded account, then you fail the combine and you have to pay again to take the combine again, right? But like I said, if you're a new trader, this can save you a lot of money, because let's say you traded with your own money and you lost $1,000 of your own account. Would you rather lose $1,000 of your own account while you're learning, or would you rather only lose $100 in your learning curve, right? It can save you so much money if you're in your learning curve. And like I said, these prop firms, they systemize it very well to where what percentage do they take once you're actually funded? So with Top Step, you keep your first $10,000 that you make. After you make your 10K, you keep 90% and they keep 10%. So you're keeping a really, really good amount. But like I was saying before, right, if you lose a 3K, yeah, it's really good. Top Step's really good for that. Because I believe on Take Profit Trader, they keep or I keep 80% and they keep 20%. Until I make $5,000, then they move you to a Pro Plus account. And on the Pro Plus account, then you're on a 90-10 split. But you start off with the 80-20 split. That's not the case with Top Step. That's why I'm saying Top Step might be a little bit better right now, because of the sell they got going on. And you know, they're changing the game for prop firms, honestly. So couldn't you hypothetically take that 10K that you make and start your own fund? Yeah, for sure. Can you rewatch this video? Yeah, I'm recording it. Hopefully I recorded it. Shit, I don't even know if it is recording. Okay, cool. Yeah, I did record it. But yeah, you guys can rewatch this video. Hypothetically take that 10K. Yeah, you could start your own account with that, basically. But you know, it's always cool trading with other people's money, because the psychology and the setup is just so much better, honestly. You know, it takes a lot of stress off your back. Can you withdraw on Top Step as well after a certain amount? Yeah, so to withdraw on Top Step, you have to have 5 green days of $200. And it doesn't have to be consecutive. So let's say, for example, Monday I make 200. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be consecutive. As long as you can have 5 green days of $200 profit, then you can withdraw. I want to quit my job and get this 10K quick. Yeah, if you're experienced with trading, I wouldn't like that's if if you have experience trading, then you could do that. But if you're completely new, it'll take some time, right? So for new traders still learning, would you recommend to just focus on futures or start off with options first? So kind of like how I was saying, there is no way that I would have been good at trading futures if I didn't start off with options, because I had to learn through trial and error, right? I had to go through all the phases and options, but I learned so much, right? I learned so much trading options with the options Greeks, and I learned so much, right? How to chart, how to find individual stocks, and just learning how the overall market works, right? SPY and QQ. Like I said, when I'm trading futures, I'm literally looking at the SPY chart, or I'm literally looking at the QQ chart. I have the futures I have the futures chart on my other screen, but for the most part, like for example, the trade I took today, right? QQQ was really strong. We broke above 369, and right, we came back and we retested this area here. So once it retested this 9 EMA here, I made my entry right there. But instead of going to Thinkorswim and buying a 371 call on QQQ, I went to Tradeovate and I traded the Nasdaq, because the Nasdaq is correlated with QQQ, right? So I'm looking at the same chart over here. If I put up, and where are you going? Okay, cool. So if I put up the Nasdaq chart over here, notice how at the same time it's literally identical, literally the exact same chart. Look, I'm gonna go over here, and where I have that arrow, that's gonna be right here on the Nasdaq. So like how I was saying, if I didn't know how to trade options, if I didn't start off trading SPY and QQQ, it would have been. I mean, I'm sure I would have learned how to trade futures, but I think I'm basically good at trading futures because I'm good at trading options. I'm good at trading the actual stock market, right? But that doesn't mean you can't start off trading futures. But that's what helped me, because I had already gotten good at trading the actual stock market and just learning the overall stock market. For example, like if Apple is really, really strong one day, and Apple has or for example, Meta today. Meta was really, really strong today. What ETFs hold Meta? QQQ and SPY. So if Meta has a really, really good setup, based off my analysis, if Meta goes up, right? If Meta's showing strength, it's gonna carry QQQ and SPY. If I didn't have that knowledge, right, and I would have just went straight to futures, it might have been a little bit harder for me. But because I had my analysis really good down on individual stocks like that, Meta was really strong today. So I was able to, since Meta carried basically SPY and QQQ today off the open, that's relative strength. I learned relative strength and relative weakness through trading stocks and options. Therefore, I can carry that over to futures, right? So being able to know that, QQQ was going to go up because of Meta and these relatively strong names, I'm able to correlate that with the NQ chart over here. And that exact same trade I entered here, and I took profit off this level over here, right? Yesterday's high. It's the exact same thing, exact same levels, right? Just on a different chart. Same thing with SPY and ES. Like I'm gonna put SPY and ES side by side. ES, and I'm gonna put SPY over here. You guys will be able to see that right off of the open. We catch that move up, right? And we get a pullback to this 9 EMA here. Like for example, let's say I wasn't even looking at ES, and I was just gonna trade SPY. This pullback that I would have taken right here, I could have literally just taken this pullback. I could have just bought it on the future and had the same, and I could have just been looking at the SPY chart. Literally, I could have literally just been looking at the SPY chart and taking the same trade on futures. So if you guys already have experience with options and you guys know how to trade SPY and QQQ, calculate kind of like how I said, right? I have it right here on my whiteboard. An 80-cent move to $1 move on SPY is equal to an $8 move on ES. So I can catch a 80 cent move to $1 move on SPY. I'm sure a lot of you guys can too if you guys have been trading options for a bit. Like everyone catches, like, you know, a lot of people can catch a $1 move, right? So if you could catch a $1 move on SPY, it's literally the same thing over here. It's just an $8 move over here. And since for every dollar moves, every dollar is $50, $8 times $50 is $400. Basically make double the amount that I would have made on options on futures. Same risk management, right? Same risk management. I would have had to stop below this. And as long as you have a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio on your trades, those add up, right? If anyone have any questions, it was already up like $3 after hours. Let me see. Meadow drop in threads tomorrow. What moving averages are on your chart? 9 and 20, 9 and 21 EMA, and the 200 SMA, and I have the VWAP. That's pretty much it for the most part. I only use them for Confluence. I like to trade more price action and volume. Right, price action, key levels, and candlesticks. That is way better than any indicator you could use. Price action, supply demand. I'm gonna start doing a lot more of these webinars, and those other webinars that I'm gonna do on like that type of information on charting is gonna be way more in depth and way better than these, honestly, than this futures one. Because I'm like, how much does it cost to start like the funded account? It's right here. Right? So if you want to go for one of these, it's $50 for the 50K. I honestly recommend. It just depends what kind of trader you are. But I stick, you know, if you guys are new, I stick to trading ES, okay? NQ is a little bit more volatile, but if you're a new trader, you know, you could go for the 50K account and, you know, stick to trying to hit a $200 a day to hit that $3,000 target. And however long it takes you, it doesn't matter. You'll get funded the 50K, you know? But it would cost $50 to get funded, basically. And then once you get funded, I think there's another fee. It's like $140, I believe, but it's worth it. You know, if you get funded, you pass the test. It's completely worth it. It was already up like $3 afterward. Header? I'll check out Meta for you guys. But yeah, even though like I switched over to I still trade options. Like for example, today Meta was a great move. All right, once it broke that 290, it should just ripped, right? Is it already up after hours? This is gonna be a great setup for tomorrow. This is relative strength, right? And me going through the stock selection and learning how to chart all this and having to go through all this, learning basic stock market information. This is how I learned to trade, right? I just transfer all my skills from that over to futures and take advantage of the leverage and the opportunities, the risk management, not having to worry about the options weeks, which is what kills a lot of traders, the options weeks, right? Data. I know if you're a new trader and you're probably listening to a lot of these terms, you might feel a little bit overwhelmed, but you know, options weeks are that's like a whole nother hour lesson, it's like a whole nother hour lesson to get into. You guys have any other questions or anything that you guys feel like I might not have covered as well? All right, so let me go over everything real quick. Right, commodities. I don't really trade the commodities. You could trade gold, right? Oil, the PDT rule, define risk to reward. Yeah, for the most part, I'm trading the assets, which are these right here. And a lot of the information that I showed you guys is over here on Tradeovate. You just go up here and you go to trading margins, type in the ticker, which is ES, MES, right? And it'll show you. So if you're going to set up an account with Tradeovate without having to go through the funded account challenge, which I don't recommend if you're new, it's $500, right? And it gives you all the information right there of the points, the ticks, how they move. And that's how I trade them, basically, right? I trade them the same way that I trade SPY and QQQ. Make sure to ask questions if you guys have any. Let me see if I can go over a little bit more things about these, right? So for the most part, these prop firms, they really do help you with structuring your risk management. You know, they help you treat trading like a business with all these rules that they have, you know. But I don't know, that's pretty much it for the class. How does it work with trading gold? Like I said, I don't trade gold. Once you get funded, for example, 50K, what happens if you lose 2K? Do you have to pay $50 again? Yeah, that's if you're doing the 50K, right? So if you lose 2,000, and I think they have a daily loss limit. So you can lose $1,000 in a day. If you lose $1,000 in a day, that will also wipe you out. But that's why I like the 100K, because it gives you a much bigger loss limit, right? You can't lose. And if you're trading, like for example, let's say you're trading ES, there should be no reason for you to be losing $2,000, $3,000 if you're trading ES. Like let's go to ES, right? Remember what I told you guys? Every dollar move is $50. So this you kind of have to systemize it on your own, right? You kind of have to you have to do the calculations for yourself. You have to be like, okay, well, how many dollars do I have to catch, or how many dollars will wipe me out? And you just have to stick to your rules, right? For example, I try to catch a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio. So I am comfortable risking a $4 move to catch an $8 move. I'm comfortable losing 200 to make 400. Right? So 4 to 8, $4 move to $8 move, like that's what I'm comfortable with. So I look for the setups, right? The type of setups that I look for. For the most part, the best way to trade futures is off of supply and demand, or just best way to trade in general, right? Supply and demand. Like let's look at a supply zone that was very, very well respected just today. I believe it was up here. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was literally this one. This will give you a great risk reward. A supply zone like this will give you a great risk reward. Notice how every time we come up here, what happens, right? Seller step in, seller step in. So what does that do? That gives me a great risk reward where I can have a stop loss above that supply zone, and I can short the price down to the next level of support, giving me, I'll risk basically 86 to 92, risk like $5 to $10 to catch a, $30 move. That's cool with me, like having those type of risk to rewards and having a playbook insight will help you, for the most part, stick to supply and demand, trade off of key levels. That is what is going to help you. Another thing I could say about futures, when SPY and QQQ are very choppy, so will ES and NQB. So that when SPY and QQQ are very choppy, that's when I'll probably avoid trading futures. And I'll probably go to relative. That's when I'll go to options and look for a relative strong name. For example, Meta was relatively strong today. I'll look for something like that. That way I can have an opportunity, right? Much better opportunity. Do you connect TopStep to trade on TradingView? Yeah, correct. So once you pay TopStep, they give you your account login. They give you your account, and you just go to TradingView and you connect it to TradingView. So the 2K loss rule and the 1K loss rule stays before you get the fund account, and once you're already funded, right? So yeah. Once you're already funded, it's the same thing. You can't lose 2K or 1K in a day. Do you trade on Ninja? I trade on Tradeovate, but I might make the switch over because if I get funded from multiple accounts, which is what I'm trying to do, then there's something called copy trader, right? There's a little bit more advanced, but there's something called a copy trader where if I make, let's say I make $200 on one account and I have like 5 other funded accounts, all I have to do is make $200 on one account and it'll copy over to the other 5 accounts. So therefore I made, $1,000 off of just one trade on one account. It's a copy trader that you can use. And I think you could only do it through NinjaTrader or Algorithmic. I got to get like a parallel or something. So that's something that I'm working on right now. That's going to be game changing, honestly. Yeah, it's just going to be badass. That's what a lot of these other traders do too. Is that, no, it's legit. It's a legit. It's not a hack or nothing. It's like it's legit. Yeah, it's legal. But yeah, it's pretty much the futures class. I don't know if you guys have any other questions on it. I know it's a lot of information, but you guys could take a picture of all this too. I don't mind. That way you guys can like get really, really well. I'll record the class. So yeah, so the class should be recorded. Post it on my Instagram right now if anything, but the I heard some firms were not paying. Now these do pay. These prop firms do pay. If anyone has any other questions, do you alert futures? That's very hard to do. So no, I do not alert futures. It is really hard to do. Your exact entry and fill, that shit is very hard to do. No, I appreciate everyone who stayed through to the end though. That's pretty much it though. I don't know if you guys have any last minute questions or anything. Yeah, of course, no problem. Sure. All right, thank you guys. My bad. This is my first presentation on futures, so I know I could do a much better job next time though, for sure. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, I am on Discord. Lex straight or Alexis on the moderator chat. Yeah, of course. Of course, of course. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed it and that it was helpful. So yeah, that's pretty much it though, guys. You guys have a good day. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Peace.